What's up, everyone? Welcome to Bluntly Stated Sports, where we don't give a shit about what we say. It's Calvin here, and today we have a really fun video for you to begin our Bluntly Stated 7 series, where we make a top 7 list of anything we can think of. Firstly, I wanted to apologize for not posting in a while, but beginning in July, we'll be posting on a much more consistent basis. In this video, we're going to be discussing the top 7 sleepers in the upcoming 2018 NBA Draft. We'll get to all that and more, but first, a quick message from our sponsor. The Ultimate Sports Radio Network is a place where you can listen to live play-by-play of all kinds of sports on Mixlr.com. And the best part is, it's absolutely free. All you have to do is go to the link provided or download the Mixlr app. Search Ultimate Sports Radio Network and hit that follow button to get updates on whenever they go live. Only the best on USRN. Okay, at number 7 we have Rob Gray. Gray is a combo guard out of the University of Houston, where he played 3 seasons for the Cougars. Rob Gray began his collegiate career at Howard College, where he played 27 games and scored in double figures in 23 of them. After being noticed by the University of Houston, he transferred there in 2015. In his first season with Houston, Gray only started 9 of the 26 games he played, but finished the season averaging 16 points per game, 2.2 rebounds, and 1.8 assists per game. In his junior season, he improved his role, starting in 29 of the 31 games Houston played that season. The 6'2 guard scored his collegiate high 20.6 points per game and shot 52% from the floor and 38% from 3. Although statistically Gray had his best season in his junior year, he became the well-known star this past season in his senior year. He started all 34 games for the Cougars and averaged 19.3 points per game, along with 4.4 assists and 3.7 rebounds per game. He led the Cougars to a 26-7 record in the regular season and nearly won the AAC title before falling to Cincinnati in the AAC final. His team's efforts were enough to earn a 6th seed in the NCAA tournament. He scored a career-high 39 of his team's 67 points to narrowly evade a very good San Diego State team, 67-65 in the first round. They nearly locked up a spot in the Sweet 16 against Michigan before an incredible game-winning buzzer beater was hit by freshman Jordan Poole to send Houston packing.
He rifles it right in front of Rostock's Bill Rockman at midcourt, extra pass. And it goes for the win! The three-pointer by Jordan Poole!
Rob Gray finished his collegiate career averaging 18.8 points per game, 3.3 rebounds, 3 assists, and shot 50% from the floor and 36% from beyond the arc. He also finished with an astounding PER of 24.7 and a win share total of 14.2. Rob Gray's NBA potential comes from his scoring ability. He can play either guard spot and plays better than average defense for someone his size. He has the capability to take over a game at will and has a fantastic inside game. He would provide immediate offense on an NBA roster. He does have some weaknesses. His 6'2", 190-pound body will more than likely force him into playing a point guard spot in the NBA. He's a volume shooter, which can be good when he's hot and very bad when he isn't hitting anything. He reminds me a lot of Dion Waiters in that he refuses to stop shooting even to the detriment of his team. Gray scored 23 points in a game versus Michigan, but shot 8 of 22 from the floor in the game. He desperately needs to improve his passing game and his offensive IQ if he wants to remain in the NBA. I can see him landing on a team somewhere in the second round in this upcoming draft. This guy has the potential to start on an NBA team and develop into a scoring point guard. He has a few kinks, but are not too destructive to deny him an NBA job. Okay, now at number 6 we have Donte DiVincenzo. You may remember Donte from his 31-point performance in the national championship game, where he shot 10 of 15 and 5 of 7 from the 3, coming off the bench. However, DiVincenzo may provide a much larger presence on an NBA team. He won a national championship as a freshman, but only played 9 games due to a broken foot. He primarily came off the bench in his sophomore year, but provided a strong presence on the B team, where he scored 8.8 points per game. His junior season was where he shined for the Wildcats, scoring 13.4 points per game mainly off the bench. He also improved his 3-point shot, shooting 40% beyond the arc in his 3rd year. His play got him to 3rd place in the 6th Man of the Year voting, only behind Rui Hachimura of Gonzaga and the Division III transfer Duncan Robinson from Michigan. After his historic 31-point game, which was the most in NBA championship history for a player off the bench, he officially declared for the NBA draft. DiVincenzo is a two-way player that can provide high-quality efficiency on both sides of the ball. His major weakness is that teams are looking at his consistency. He's a clutch player that shines in the brightest moments, but will he be able to carry a solid load night in and night out in the NBA? He's probably deserving of a middle to late second round pick, but he may be drafted higher because of his championship performance. if a team does choose to draft him, it probably won't be because of his all-star potential, but more for an immediate 3-and-D production. DiVincenzo would be a nice pickup if it falls to pick 45 or below. Alright, here we go. At number 5, we have Zanan Musa. Now, everyone's been focused on Luka Doncic coming out of the EuroLeagues, but everyone seems to forget about the guy who led Bosnia to an undefeated record in the World Cup this season. Musa is a 6'7", 19-year-old who is averaging 13 points per game combined in his Euro Cup, World Cup, Croatian, and ABA League play. And this is against grown men. Now, Musa doesn't have a great outside shot, but he does shoot 60% from inside the arc. He played 72 games this season throughout the 4 leagues he was in, so stamina and fatigue won't be an issue translating into the NBA. He's a phenomenal player when he gets hot, and it seems like no one can stop him. This kid had multiple 30-point games and really needs to be spoken about more. Teams who will do their research will know how impressive Musa is and could be a player that adds to a solid list of players coming from Bosnia and Herzegovina, including Jusuf Nurkic, Dražen Bender, and Bogut Bogdanovic. Alright, at number 4 we have Melvin Frazier out of Tulane. This 6'5" combo guard has been the most up-and-down player in terms of fluctuations on draft boards. Throughout his 3 seasons playing in the AAC, he's only averaged 10.9 points per game, 4.5 rebounds, and less than 2 assists per game. What has shocked many NBA scouts are his advanced stats. However, his junior season stats haven't been too shabby either. Nearly 16 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, 3 assists, and over 2 steals per game is fairly impressive as it is. However, his PER, or player efficiency rating, is what people are gawking at with this kid. His junior season PER finished at 22.4, which is uncharacteristically high for someone who's declared as a probable second-round pick. Frazier has the capability to become a fantastic two-way player in the NBA, and could be a big-time steal early in the second round. Now, the major foreseeable issue would be how his talent would translate to the NBA level. Playing in the AAC, he did have some competition like Wichita State, Cincinnati, and Houston, but nothing close to what he may have experienced as a Power 5 player. Even in this conference, his team didn't perform very well. A very disappointing 14-17 record, including a 5-13 record in the AAC, doesn't exactly call for major promising success. However, if he sneaks into the late first round where he could have loads of talent surrounding him, he could provide valuable minutes off the bench for an elite-level team. Alright, at number 3 we have Keita Bates-Diop. Now, Keita is a senior coming out of Ohio State. He's probably the highest draft selection we have on this list, and while he was with the Buckeyes, he developed into one of the finest players in college basketball. He averaged 19.8 points, 8.7 rebounds, and 1.6 blocks per game in his senior season. His stats and overall production earned him the 2017-2018 Big Ten Player of the Year, beating out elite college basketball players like Mo Wagner, Miles Bridges, Carson Edwards, Tony Carr, Ethan Happ, and Jaren Jackson Jr. He and teammate Jayshawn Tate played well enough to earn the Buckeyes a 5 seed in the NCAA tournament. They beat a very good South Dakota State Jackrabbits team in the first round and nearly defeated Gonzaga, the NCAA runners-up from last year, but couldn't defeat the Bulldogs despite Bates-Diop scoring 28 points. The way Keita played against top-level talent in the Big Ten may have earned him a top 10 spot in this draft if he weren't a senior. And for whatever reason, the NBA doesn't like to draft older players high anymore, so he may find himself drafted in the late lottery, or perhaps fall to a top 20, top 25 pick. Bates-Diop and Marvin Bagley III are the only real positionless players in this draft. At 6'7", 190, he would probably make the most sense if he played at the small forward, but his skill down in the paint may even find the team he plays for. Go small and run him at the 4 spot. His stretch forward build is something that NBA teams have drooled over in the last 10 years because of current elite talent at the stretch 4, i.e. LeBron James, KD, Giannis, and so on. Keita shot 54% from inside the three-point line for his career, but did not shoot well from the outside until his senior season, where he shot a pretty decent 36%. Bates-Diop may be passed up by teams for the lack of a consistent three-point shot, but his inside talent leads me to believe he'll be high on teams' radars in the middle first round. Okay, next up at number 2 is Chandler Hutchison. Hutchison is a senior coming out of Boise State. He was thought to be the next breakout star for the Broncos, but at first that just didn't simply happen. In his freshman season, Chandler averaged just 3.4 points per game on 35% shooting. He started 18 of the 29 games he played in that freshman year. After his less than inspiring opening year, Hutchison rode the bench for most of his sophomore season. But coming off the bench, Hutchison began performing better. He averaged 6.8 points per game and shot 50% from the floor. Heading into his junior season, he was placed back into the starting lineup, where he exploded back onto the scene. In his first 2 seasons, he was just a 25% three-point shooter, but in his junior year, he shot 38% from beyond the arc. And in his final year in college, he averaged 20 points per game, 7.7 rebounds, 3.5 assists, and 1.5 steals per game. He led his team to a 23-8 record, but could not make it into the NCAA tournament. In his final game as a Bronco, he scored 39 points on 11 of 17 shooting, but could not beat a bad Washington team 77-74. Hutchison played with no help on his team, and with NBA caliber players playing alongside him, he could seriously become an excellent scoring and passing wing. He's going to have to bulk up for the NBA, however. He's only 190 pounds. He needs to add some muscle to be able to box out players like he did in college. Hutchison is a very versatile player who can play at the 1, 2, 3, or 4 on a team. There's still many questions surrounding him, particularly with his three-point shot, and it's hard to say where he'll be drafted. He could go as high as the lottery, and as low as the early second round. Don't be surprised though if you hear his name called much earlier than you thought. He may be the Kyle Kuzma of this draft class. Before we get to number 1, I just want to let everyone know that you can follow me on Instagram at McDouble_double and at Twitter at CalMr2000 to let me know what you think. Also hit that subscribe button and tap that little bell to get notified whenever we post new videos. Alright guys, the biggest sleeper I have in this upcoming draft is Anthony Simmons. Simmons, the first postgraduate transfer to enter the NBA draft since the age restriction was implemented in 2005. He turned 19 on June 8th, just 13 days before the NBA draft, which officially makes him eligible. Now you may be asking how he can get into the NBA since he is fresh out of high school. Well, the answer is a loophole in the NBA restriction policy. Anthony Simmons graduated from high school early to attend IMG Academy, which is a boarding school that has a main purpose to train athletes before going pro. Several NBA players have come from IMG, such as Dwayne Bacon, Michael Beasley, Dwight Powell, Jonathan Isaac, and fellow NBA draft prospect and Duke graduate Trayvon Duval. He, however, is the only one actually to directly come out of IMG Academy and enter the NBA draft. Since IMG is technically a postgraduate school and he has been there for 1 year, he's technically eligible for the NBA draft. He's elected not to play for IMG Academy to focus on his training, so the best statistics I can give you are from his junior season of high school. He outshined major high school prospects like Zion Williamson and LaMelo Ball by averaging 23.8 points per game, 7.2 rebounds, and over 4 assists per game. He also showed defensive ability by grabbing nearly 2 steals per game. Now it's very difficult to figure out where Simmons will go in this draft. He initially committed to playing for Rick Pitino at Louisville before the FBI investigation. After that, Simmons and fellow 5-star recruit Bruce Bowen decommitted. If he would have played at Louisville, we may have a lot more to work with, and he may have come into this draft as a clear top 10 pick. However, we don't know what he can do against NBA level or even collegiate level talent. Overall though, he is the biggest sleeper, simply because of his ceiling. He could very well have been a top player in next year's draft, and he would probably fall to the late first round, early second round in this one. Essentially what I'm trying to say is that a team with a 28th, 29th, 30th pick could grab a lottery player a year early, and a chance for him to develop under NBA training. His potential is sky high, and many NBA scouts know about this. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out our NBA Fix'em videos and hit that like button on this video. Remember, we'll be posting on a much more consistent level starting in July, so please hit the notifications button to know when we post new stuff. Thanks!